Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on George Claassen, who is News24's public editor, meaning that he is the internal press ombudsman for News24. He wrote this massive opinion piece about how podcasters are evil and bad and how News24 is the shining light that, they adhere to the press code. Podcasters don't adhere to the press code. And then he said, podcasters are saying that News24 is in the pockets of the ANC, when in actual fact, no, most podcasters didn't say that. I believe Rob Hersov said that, but now you are taking one podcaster and you assuming everybody's the same, which is exactly why you are in this mess that you are in as an organization that nobody trusts, because you consistently get things wrong. And when I say consistently, I mean in 2025, I think they had to apologize 7 or 8 times to people, including me. And the issue that I have with George Claassen specifically is I approached him twice. And both times I was met with arrogance and just being not interested in assisting me and being neutral when I was asking for things. The first time was a cartoon that was drawn that featured me and pretty much just said I was a racist. And when I approached him to say, can you please ask for the cartoon to be removed because I have not been found guilty of racism, therefore the claim is false, his response was pretty much that I am a racist. So I didn't get help there. The second time, the press ombudsman approached him to say, listen, can't we meet each other in the middle, because we can clearly see that what was said was factually wrong. That was when Adrian Basson wrote an opinion piece in which he said that I asked for the killing of black people. We all know that is not true. But instead of just saying, yes, sorry, we got it wrong, we will apologize, they dragged it out over 3 months. And eventually they had to apologize to me because they got it wrong. It's that arrogance that consistently leads to people criticizing News24. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire opinion piece, because if you have the power and the will to do that, then Godspeed. But I'm not going to go through that. I just want to illustrate some of the things that he said that I find quite problematic. And yes, I will be reporting this to the press ombudsman, because once again, they are spreading blatant lies about me. So let's have a look. All right, George Claassen, News24 is not in the ANC's pocket as influencers claim. Here's why. Hello, George. Do social media influencers attacking News24 ever practice the winnowing process that sifts deep truths from deep nonsense? The evidence says no, writes George Claassen. Well, that's interesting, because I could say the same about you. Apology. 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 All in 2025. Now, let me do something quick now. Let's go back to the first apology. Apology. Behind a paywall. Apology. Behind a paywall. Apology. Behind a paywall. Apology. Behind a paywall. You see the pattern? You see the pattern here? Oh, by the way, doxing somebody, leaking their work address and where their family lives. This is the caliber of News24. And then they want to talk about being ethical. Okay. Let me just show you. This is the entire opinion piece by him. And as you can see, it goes on and on and on. All I want to do is I just want to focus on what was said about me, because that is, of course, why I'm making this video. So let's have a look. Gouws. Okay. Let me just remove this here. Messieurs Renaldo Gouws, Rob Hersov, and other critics of News24 who do not subscribe to the press code and who could manufacture untested and unverified statements about anything. Well, let me pause right there. We have not. Because I've made videos since 2008 on YouTube, and not a single video has been proven to be wrong. You want to know why? Because I research, and I don't rush to publish. I confirm my information before I publish it. And you want to know why? Because my reputation is on the line, which is far more than just subscribing to the press ombudsman. Because you know the difference. If News24 gets it wrong, then it can go to the press ombudsman and then they can issue an apology, like you have done many times in 2025. And that's the end of it. You get it wrong, lives are ruined, but it's fine because there's no financial punishment at the press ombudsman. You have to retract and you have to apologize, and voila, done. If I get it wrong, my reputation is on the line and people will not watch my content anymore. You don't have that problem because you've got millions of people that watch your content. Anyway, have done a good job to make some people believe that the editor-in-chief of News24, Adrian Basson, and News24 in general are in the pockets of the ANC. Now, I've never said this. Anyway, it goes on. Let me just find the other host claim. There we go. This again, under the banner of Mashatile Unmasked, News24 has since the middle of 2023 been giving extensive, they're just praising blah, 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 how hard they've worked. This is again conveniently ignored when influencers such as Gouws, Hersoff, and others on social media and YouTube peddle their bias and misleading statements about News24. Oh, is it? Okay, I want to know something quick from News24. Why is it that whenever something happens to a podcaster, you are the very first to jump on the bandwagon? Why is it that you are so obsessed with what I do, with what Rob Hersoff does, what other podcasters that are critical of you does, what AfriForum, Solidariteit, Sai, the list is endless. Truly it is. But only, on one side. Because nobody questions that your investigative journalism is some of the best in the world. I'll be the first to admit it. But you see, in that opinion piece, what George is doing is he's trying to act like that is the only thing that News24 does. Investigative journalism. No, you give opinion pieces that is warped and mostly just on the one side, which is the left side. And then you write some news, but with the journalist's point of view, or with Adrian Basson's point of view, or Pieter de Tooy's point of view. Remember, Pieter de Tooy is the one that went on that Afrikaans show and attacked Willie Spies because he's defending Twatterbaas, and then he put out that graph and says, where's this from? Where's this source from? We don't have a source for this. And then, remember, the source was News24.
Waar kom die inligting vandaan? Daar's geen bron nie. Zero. Dis disinformasie.
That graph magically disappeared off of that article once it was discovered that, that is where that graph is from. So you keep on making the same mistake over and over again. And the big issue here is that it's because of this massive platform that you have, that when you get something wrong, you ruin lives. When podcasters get it wrong, they don't ruin lives. So it's the platform, it's the size of it, it's your arrogance, and it is your bias and your refusal to apologize why people don't trust you. That truly is the reason. Nobody disputes that your investigative journalism is some of the best in the world. I will admit that. The problem is your opinion pieces and your everyday news and your clear bias towards right-leaning individuals. Because the irony is, I never ever see you write a negative article on woke leftist podcasters. In actual fact, you provide a platform for these individuals. But what you always do is you are very critical and always try and find that little thingy that you can publish that's negative about people on the right, center right even. And when you get it wrong, which is quite often based on your press ombudsman record, you don't just want to apologize and make it available to the public. No, you hide it behind a paywall. That speaks to your character as an organization. Being arrogant, refusing to apologize, trying to hide it. These are all things that don't count in your favor. So you can wax lyrical about how great you are and how amazing your investigative journalism is, or your investigative journalists are, but then you consistently still get it wrong, and you're arrogant about it, and you've got this massive platform that ruins people's lives. Twatterboss is an example. Doxing him. Do you really think that you're going to garner support for your cause when you go on a platform and ruin somebody's life and their family, by the way, and then you just don't care? You absolutely do not care. So it's all of those things. But then ultimately, it comes down to a very, very simple point. When I get something wrong, my reputation is shot and it's over. When you get something wrong, you ruin lives, and then the only option truly is to go to the press ombudsman. And then when you are found guilty, all you need to do is retract, apologize, and life goes on. Unfortunately, if a podcaster gets it wrong, people won't tune in again because they won't trust the individual. So yes, you want to talk about you being held at a higher standard than podcasters? Well, the fucking reason is quite simple. It's because of the size of your platform and the money that it generates. I mean, I would gladly sign up. If I could earn your type of money, I would sign up to the press ombudsman because I've got nothing to hide. It's as simple as that. So to conclude this video, George, it's very simple. You can feel however way you want to feel about podcasters, but your articles, your journalists are the ones that ultimately show South Africa where you align. And just looking at your actions and just looking at your articles, it's quite clear that the people on the left can say whatever they want and get away with it. An example, when you started reporting on me using the K word, you wrote numerous articles with regards to that because I was center right, and you don't like that. But what about Conrad Koch that also used the K word and the N word? Where's the article on that? Of course there isn't, because these people align with your views and therefore you don't want to be critical of what they say. That is a perfect example of the double standards of News24. So forgive me and millions of other people who don't trust you. And the simple reason is because you aren't being truthful to your readers. It really is as simple as that. If you throw your biases away and report on the news fairly, then nobody would have a problem with it. But the fact that you proclaim that you don't have biases, but everybody can see it, that is the problem. And that is why so many people speak negatively about you. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel. Please be sure to share this video far and wide. And lastly, if you support me and my content, please consider becoming a member. You can do so by clicking the join button below. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Till later, cheers and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.